Hi everyone, welcome to my first podcast. At the end of this podcast, you have questions about Roman history or something that interests you in Roman history. Just at the end of the video, write a message and ask a question of what you'll like answered in the next video. Today, we'll be starting with questions my mom has asked about one of the important areas of Roman history. And this video, or in other ones, other podcasts to come, will cover different aspects of Roman history, from kingdom to the Republic to the Empire, and basically to the modern day Rome, including maybe covering parts of the western half or the eastern half, depending. But let's move on, shall we? My main question my mom has asked me today is, what was the significance of the Rubicon during the time of the Roman Republic? To set up a picture, the Roman Republic has been around for about 300 years or so, since the fall of the kick out the last king of Rome, Tarquinius Superbus. So when he got kicked out, the Republic was formed, and the city of Rome and her surrounding territory expanded, and she added allies. The Rubicon was the border between the areas administered by Rome herself and her provinces north of Italy. The Rubicon was, which is still inaccurately portrayed today, because whenever you hear the crossing of Rubicon, the Rubicon is like a big, massive river, like the Danube River or the Rhine River, or the rivers Euphrates and Tigris in the Middle East. It was more of a little stream in the Emilia-Romagna portion of Italy, which is the northern part, which marked the boundary of the Roman of a commanding general could not cross with his army. But Julius Caesar, whose actions will lead to eventually the rise of the Caesars under his adopted great nephew from sister Adia as the first emperor. And so through those actions, eventually the Republican government will collapse. But let's continue on. And Julius Caesar marched through the Rubicon. He declared himself one of the great warlords of the Republic, because his power, for basically up to that time, he was in modern France or Gaul, or modern day France if you look at it. He worked with Pompey the Great to keep his command there for 5 years or longer. That way he could finish conquering the Gallic tribes there. And eventually things between him and Pompey the Great began to collapse, to the point where once Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon, he would march on Rome, while Pompey Magnus would leave Rome along with the Senate and retreat to Greece, where eventually he and Caesar will duke it out in the plains of Philippi. So the Rubicon, back to the Rubicon, it's basically after that point, it became an insignificant. It became after this point a footnote in the rise of the Caesars. Because without Julius Caesar's actions, things could have been a whole lot different in the rise of the Caesars. So this river does still exist. It's just over the millennia or so since then, it has it has changed, where from the constant floodings around the time, the river just changed direction. So it's interesting to see how something like that, when it has a major moment in history, in the Roman Republic history, after that it just became a footnote. Which is weird if you think on it, go whoa. But so after Julius Caesar's assassination in 44 BC, and his adopted grandnephew or great nephew, Octavian, when he became princeps, which is basically the first among the senators, he united Italy as a full province. Basically, what the boundary between Cisalpine Gaul, which is basically northern Italy, and Italy proper, which is Rome and her allies, became Italy itself. So it became so basically the significance of that boundary ceased to exist, as the entire Italy was united. So Rubicon, and also there's an old saying that was supposedly said by Julius Caesar, that Ialia iacta est, the die is cast, which is meaning, which means dies cast, and basically when you cross it, you can't go back. So if you say you're going to do something and you cast the die for it, you can't. It's hard to go back. You got to move forward or face the consequences. Like, he realized that at the Rubicon when he crossed it, because he realized that if he did that, there's a good chance that he could lose the civil war between him and Pompey, and he could get killed, and he could be killed by the Senate, who did not exactly find him popular. And we'll talk about that in a later video. Another question by me mom about that, because the Senate, a whole other beast, which sometimes has a hard time being tamed. But good times in Roman history, especially when there's going to be a massive undertaking, and it becomes a footnote in history of the collapse of the Roman Republic. Like, let's see. So yeah. And also another interesting note about the Rubicon is that that there's a road built right next to it, and later on, which marks one of the miles of the Rome, which is called the Via Aemilia, which of course comes in handy for Roman military stuff. Yes. So pretty much that pretty much covers the Rubicon. If anyone has any questions, I hope. Please send me a message or something, and I hope you enjoyed this and my ramblings on Rome. Alright, have a good night.